I think the government has been really pretty visionary, and it makes sense in tough economic times to do big, bold investments for the future. When times are tough, that's when you need to plan for the future. And as the plane dipped in over Sydney this morning, you look out the window and you see Sydney Harbour Bridge, opened in 1932. You imagine what a tough world it was in 1932, and yet that piece of infrastructure was an inspiring piece of infrastructure for the world. I think what the Australian government is planning for a network here in Australia is an inspiring move, and I think it's going to be fantastic for the Australian economy.
Well, you've used the word plan twice in that answer, and indeed, operatively, the question is, what does it amount to? Business wants certainty in all things. Are you confident that the rollout is going to meet business and consumer expectations? Can everyone be happy, in other words, from this?
I don't think there's a big technology risk in it. I think a lot of the technology has been proven. You're bringing Mike Quigley in to run it. Mike's a very proven executive, a great guy. Excellent choice, by the way. I think what it'll mean for businesses is the chance for small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses in Australia to be very much at the forefront globally. You'll have a network here that's better than anywhere else, and the benefits for the consumer in education and healthcare should be really pretty profound.
Is it better than everyone else, though, for 5 minutes, and then suddenly more advances take place and we're seen to be dragging the chain because it is such an ambitious and rollout that won't just happen in 5 minutes? So as technology moves at pace, can we keep, at the forefront of it?
If you look at the world over the last 6 to 9 months, you could probably look at 30 different countries with stimulus packages. I think there are a handful that are going to have legacy projects that will be remembered in 20 or 30 years' time as being, a tremendous insight. I think this one in Australia is one of them. I think the Chinese are also doing some big stuff. But no, I think this really will put Australia out there in the lead.
Why don't we talk about your company being out there in the lead, of course, because all the talk is, well, we get rid of these old clunkers. Well, not this one in particular, not to name names, but we get rid of course, what might be conceded as yesterday's technology. We go for these things like the tablets, and you're going head-to-head with the behemoth that is Apple when it comes to what chips are going to be used in an Apple tablet, for instance. Will they go for your product? Sure. And if not, why not?
Well, we've had a great relationship with Apple for sure. And the thing that you picked up, the notebook computer, that is really the mainstream device now in the next 5 years, whether it's from Apple or others. I think here in Australia, you've seen some big corporates holding back on spending the last year and a half. I'd be a little concerned about that. Some of this old stuff has security issues. It's much slower. It uses more electricity. But as the sentiment picks up, I think corporates in the next few months are going to look to replace, and they will replace with notebooks.
Okay, but are you confident that even beyond that, because we are still talking these tablets, Apple always wants to surprise its customers with something new. Your chips, you want to see them in those, but are the signs that positive? Because they're not really using your chips in the iPhone, are they?
They're not. It's a competitive market, but we invest in downturns too, in the same way that we advocated the Australian government doing the same thing. And our new chips that are coming out, the new Core 2 family that's coming out, is really stunning. Much better performance, very miserly on using electricity, and I think you're going to love them.
What lessons have you learnt from going head-to-head in a combative way offshore? The EU wasn't too happy with your relationship with a competitor, and that's resulted in an antitrust fine. How did you carry the can on that, personally?
Well, you have to make sure wherever you are in the world that you follow local laws, and that can be a very shifting, moving target. In the US, it's pretty straightforward. The laws are pretty straightforward. Other countries around the world, things move quickly. So for a successful multinational, and Intel is very much a multinational company, you have to pay extreme attention to what it is that local governments want you to do.
Because there was a €1 billion antitrust fine. Did that hit you in the back pocket personally?
Sure. I mean, we announced the results. I mean, it's an enormous amount of money, and and at the same time, personally, we said we appealed. We didn't agree with the decision. We thought it was unfair. Last week, the European Ombudsman came out and said some positive things about our side of the case. But, net, yes, of course it hits you, but you have to carry on investing, you have to believe in your technology, and you don't get knocked off your game.
Yeah, but when you reflect on it, and the idea that it is a competitive marketplace, how would you have done things differently?
You know, I don't know. I think that we've been very proud that we are in an intensely competitive marketplace.
But when you say you don't know, and it's just cost you €1 billion, don't you go back into the boardroom and say, guys, we can't afford another one of these. We do need to know what went wrong. We do need to actually right things for the next time round.
100% yes, all of those things you do, but we are still in the appeal process, so we don't know yet what the final outcome of this thing is. We've put the money aside to pay the fine, but we don't know the outcome. But sure, you always go back and you figure out how you can do things better.
Yeah. We've spoken NBN, and we like to think that we're part of Asia now, as Singapore has had a step ahead on a big front when it comes to its internet and its wireless capabilities. Where do we sit when you look at us compared with the rest of the world? How far behind the ball are we?
I would say Australia right now is probably in the middle of the pack. If the new broadband network gets built out, it'll leap to the front of the pack. And look at Singapore. Look at what Singapore has had over the last 10 years as a result of these investments. Look at the education scores of the kids. Look at the healthcare programs. These are all the kind of things, I think, that it's sensible to plan for.
Tell me about your planning and what lies in store for you next, the next big challenge. People are tipping you as the heir apparent to take over the top job. What would be a satisfactory outcome for you in the next 5 years?
Well, you know, I'm clearly very happy in the job that I'm doing. We're continuing to shrink the transistor. Now, that sounds like a dumb thing, but it means that computers are going to get faster and faster. We like to think that in another 5 to 7 years, they're going to be so fast, we're going to be extremely accurate on weather prediction, for example. Your home computer is going to be immensely useful for healthcare and these kinds of things. So, you know, we think the best years of the computer lie ahead. And the internet, of course, is the agent that's delivering it to everyone, including your business.
You've been in the company, though, since 1982. At what point do you say, look, I've been so loyal that really, come on, time's up. Give me a shot at the top job.
You know, I don't know that you do that. I don't know that you thump the table. If you're not happy with something, maybe you'd do that. But, you know, I love doing what I'm doing. I wake up every day and I feel lucky that I've got the job that I've got.
Right.
So that puts you in a different mood every day.